Hello everyone. In this video I'm going to show some basics of Grasshopper, and to do that I'm going to build or design a step from a staircase. I'm going to do that because on the next video I'm going to show how to create the whole staircase. So before that I'm going to create one step in Grasshopper so we can manipulate it only on Grasshopper, and we can see a little bit of how does the program works. So to do that, well, in Grasshopper we have all the nodes, and they are divided in let's call it these families, and inside of each family, depending on what we want, then we have some other subdivisions, okay, where we can find anything. The other way to find a node, if we know the name of it, for instance, I need an arc now, I can double click on the canvas, and if I know the name of the node, I can type it, for instance, an arc. And then we have all the nodes that have the arc word. We need this one, we're going to use this basic one, and if we put the mouse on it, we can see what it does or how it works. So I'm going to take one of these, okay, and start my design. Each node has an input several inputs and one or several outputs, depending on what we do or which node it does. Which node we use, it's going to need something, okay. This one, for instance, it already has some default values for the input, okay. It already has a plane predefined, so if I put my mouse on it, you can see that it has already a defined plane, which is world XY. Then we have a radius that we can edit it, but it has a default one, which is 1. And then it has an angle, which is 0 to P. It works with radians. Okay. If I zoom a bit in Rhino, we can see the arc. Actually, I'm going to go to the top view. Sorry. And we have that arc. The grid that we can see in the arc is the one that represents the plane where it's based on. Okay, so I'm gonna zoom out and I'm gonna make it bigger. So basically what I'm gonna do is edit the radius of this arc. So to do that we can do it in many ways, but the most useful one for me is the slider. The slider, you can find it on params, and it's this item here, okay. But what I'm gonna do is double click on the canvas, and instead of typing the name slider, I'm gonna write down the lower limit of the slider, which is, for instance, 1, and then I'm gonna write 2 points, and I'm gonna write the upper limit, let's say, for instance, 50. And if I put 1 point and a couple of decimals, we can have a slider with decimals. So it's gonna go from 1 until 50 with 2 decimals, okay? And I'm gonna connect that to the radius, okay? And now we can see a better look of the arc that's being created, okay? The other thing that we're gonna manipulate is the angle, okay? I don't want the angle to go all the way to 180 degrees, which is P, isn't it? Yeah, 0 to P. But I want it to go to only, I don't know, let's say 15 degrees. But I want to be able to manipulate it, so I'm going to create another slider. But before doing that, I'm going to right click on angle. Actually, what I'm going to do is I'm going to go get I'm going to double click and write radians. So what this does, it converts degrees to radians. So whatever I connect here, it can be in degrees and it will convert it to radians. So this node can understand it. So for instance, I'm going to write down a slider that goes from, let's say, 10 degrees until, I don't know, 90. And let's connect it to the degrees. Now we can see that we can manipulate the angle of this arc. It's to make the step of our ladder. The next thing that I'm going to do is I'm going to copy this same arc. I'm going to copy this. And I need the new arc to be slightly bigger, but with the same degrees. So I'm going to keep this connected to the angles. Okay, and I'm going to get another slider. I'm going to copy this one and connect it to the radius. I'm going to change the size of it. Okay. So now we can start making the step. But if we want to make sure, for instance, that the size of this step is always the same, let's say the length, we want it to be always the same. What we can do is create an addition and then add this number, okay, to another one. For instance, I'm going to double click and let's say that we want the step to be always, I don't know, 40 units of length. So I'm going to go to write plus 40. And what this is going to do, it's going to create the node of the addition, but it already has the B value to be 40. Okay, so anything I connect to the A is going to be plus 40. So for instance, I'm going to connect this here. Then I'm going to connect this to the second radius. And you can see that if I edit this slider, they are always going to have the same offset. Okay. If we want to change the size of the length of the step, we can connect this here. Okay, so we can either leave it with the 40 or connect a slider on it. Okay, and as we said, we want the same degrees to be on it. The next thing that we're going to do to keep creating this step is we're going to connect. We need to connect with straight lines the endpoints of those arcs, and we have a slider that's called endpoints. And what this does, it gives us the endpoints of a curve. I'm going to need 2 of them. So I'm going to copy and paste it. I'm going to connect each one of them to each arc. And then I have all those 4 points, okay, and that I need to connect. So for that, I'm going to need a line. Or 2 lines, let's say. And then we can go from the start to one to the start of the other one. And then from the end of one to the end of the other one. Okay, and after that we can just create a surface. Okay, we have a boundary surface here on surfaces, that it just needs the edges. So what I'm going to do is connect each line with the arcs by pressing Shift. And now I have the surface. Okay. And the last thing that I want to do, I'm going to go to perspective. Well, before carrying on, I'm going to turn off the preview of all of these knots, so I can only see the surface. And the last thing that I want to do is extrude that surface. So I'm going to get the extrude node. Okay. And the direction of that extrusion is going to be on the z-axis. So if I type z, I can get the z vector. That's going to be the direction. This is going to be what I want to extrude. And I'm going to hide the surface. I don't want to see it, as I have enough with the extrusion. And so what I'm going to do is create a slider that goes, let's say, from 1 until 20 with a couple of decimals, and connect it to the factor of the vector. That way I can change the height of that step. Okay. Alright, so on the following video we are going to show how to create the ladder, the full ladder. Okay, thanks for your attention and see you next time.